I'll never forget the moment I realized America measures things like a drunk medieval king playing a guessing game. I'm in a hardware store. I need a bolt. The guy asks, "What size?" 10 millimeters, I say. He looks at me like I just spoke Klingon. We got 3/8 inch or 7/16. 7/16. 7/16 of an inch. Not 10 millimeters, not something sensible. 7/16. At that moment, standing in a Home Depot in suburban New Jersey, I understood why the rest of the world thinks Americans are insane. Because we are, at least when it comes to measurements. Today, I'm exposing the absolute madness that is America's refusal to use the metric system, the system the entire rest of the world uses, the system based on science, logic, and basic mathematics. But not America. No, no, no. America measures things in feet, based on a king's foot from the 1300s. Welcome to the social glitch. Let's talk about why America is one of 3 countries on Earth still using measurements invented by people who thought the sun revolved around the Earth. Buckle up. This is going to be painful and confusing. Very, very confusing. Let me show you something that should embarrass every American. This is the world. Blue countries use the metric system. Red countries use Imperial. Notice anything? Almost the entire world is blue, except 3 countries. 3. The United States of America, Liberia, and Myanmar. That's it. That's the club. America, a developing West African nation still recovering from civil war, and a Southeast Asian country that was under military dictatorship until 2011. Great company to be in. Americans love to defend this. We're different, we're unique, we do things our own way. Yeah, you also measure highway distances in miles and wonder why tourists can't figure out your road signs. But Imperial is more intuitive. Is it? Is it? Let me ask you, how many feet in a mile? 5,280. 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Now, how many meters in a kilometer? 1,000. 1,000. Nice, round, easy number. But sure, 5,280 is way more intuitive. Here's how Imperial works, in case you're not American and you're watching this in utter confusion. 12 inches equals 1 foot. 3 feet equals 1 yard. 1,760 yards equals 1 mile, or 5,280 feet. Why? Why? Why is it 12 inches to a foot? Why not 10? Why not 100? Because historical reasons. Historical reasons aren't math. And it gets worse with volume. 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. 16 tablespoons equals 1 cup. 2 cups equals 1 pint. 2 pints equals 1 quart. 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. To convert cups to gallons, you need to divide by 16. Why 16? Because someone in the 1400s thought it was a good idea. Meanwhile, in metric, 1,000 milliliters equals 1 liter. Done. That's it. You learned the entire liquid measurement system. Weight? Even worse. 16 ounces equals 1 pound. 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton in America. But wait, there's also 14 pounds equals 1 stone if you're British. 2,240 pounds equals 1 long ton, also British. And Americans use short tons of 2,000 pounds because freedom? Metric. 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. 1,000 kilograms equals 1 metric ton. See how everything is 1,000? Because it's based on logic. But Americans prefer the chaos of 16, 12, 5,280, and whatever random number someone made up in medieval England. Let me tell you where foot came from as a measurement. Literally a king's foot. In medieval England, a foot was based on the length of the king's actual foot. Which king? Depends on which century. Different kings had different-sized feet, so the measurement changed regularly. This is what Americans based their entire measurement system on, a body part that varied based on who was in charge. Meanwhile, the metric system is based on the Earth's circumference. The meter was originally defined as 1/10,000,000th of the distance from the equator to the North Pole. The French measured the entire planet and created a system based on actual science. Americans? Yeah, but what about this guy's foot? But wait, it gets dumber. The inch was originally based on barleycorns. Barleycorns, the seeds of grain barley. The official definition: 3 barleycorns laid end to end equal 1 inch. This was the actual legal standard in England for centuries. Your entire measurement system is based on a king's foot and seeds from a grain. And you wonder why the rest of the world uses metric. Here's how metric was created. It's 1799. The French Revolution just happened. France wants to break from the past. Scientists gather, they measure the Earth, they do actual math. They create a system where everything is based on 10. Units relate to each other logically. You can convert easily in your head. 1 meter of water equals 1 liter equals 1 kilogram. Everything connects. It's beautiful, it's elegant, it's scientific. And then they offered it to America. Thomas Jefferson loved it. He wanted America to adopt it immediately. But then, this is where it gets wild. In 1793, France sent Joseph Dombey to America. He was carrying the official kilogram and meter prototypes to show Jefferson. He never made it. His ship got blown off course. He ended up in the Caribbean. And guess who was waiting? Pirates. British pirates captured his ship, stole everything, and Dombey died in captivity. The prototypes never reached America. So America never got the official standards, and by the time they could get them again, America had already committed to Imperial. Pirates. Pirates are partially why America uses Imperial. The most important scientific advancement in measurement history was ruined by pirates. September 23, 1999. NASA launches the Mars Climate Orbiter. Cost: $125 million. Mission: study Mars's climate, land safely, send back data. What happened? It crashed. Spectacularly. Why? Metric versus imperial. One team at NASA used metric, like all of science. Another team used imperial because America. They didn't communicate. The spacecraft's thrusters were off by a factor of 4.45. The orbiter came in too low. It entered Mars's atmosphere at the wrong angle. It burned up. $125 million. Gone because someone couldn't convert pounds to newtons. NASA's official report: the root cause of the loss was a failure to use metric units in the coding of a ground software file. Translation: we mixed up metric and imperial like idiots. The scientific community's response: maybe use the system everyone else uses? America's response: nah, we're good. This wasn't the only incident. 1983, Air Canada Flight 143 runs out of fuel mid-flight because ground crew calculated fuel in pounds instead of kilograms. 1999, Korean Air Cargo Flight 6316 crashes after pilots mix up altitude in feet versus meters. 2001, Express Scripts Pharmacy sends out medications with wrong dosages due to metric/imperial confusion. People have died because of this, but Americans still refuse to switch. It's tradition, they say. Yeah, so was bloodletting. We stopped doing that because it didn't work. Let me explain how Celsius works. 0 degrees Celsius equals water freezes. 100 degrees Celsius equals water boils. Done. You now understand the entire system. It's based on water, the most important substance for human life. At sea level, pure water freezes at 0 and boils at 100. Simple, logical, scientific. Now let me explain Fahrenheit. 0 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature of brine water, salt water, and ice mixture. Why? Because Daniel Fahrenheit, a German physicist in 1724, decided that was a good starting point. Not water freezing, not anything normal, brine. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, fresh water freezes. Why 32? Because Daniel said so. 212 degrees Fahrenheit, water boils. Why 212? Because math based on brine didn't work out evenly. So, the most basic reference points humans need when water freezes and water boils are 32 and 212. Meanwhile, in Celsius, there's 0 and 100. But sure, Fahrenheit is totally better. Americans defend Fahrenheit with, "It's more precise." No, it's not. You just use decimals in Celsius. But Fahrenheit gives you more degrees between freezing and boiling. Yes, 180 degrees versus 100 degrees. You know what that means? More confusing numbers. But 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit is the human experience range. Except it's not. Humans live in places colder than 0 degrees Fahrenheit and hotter than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, Celsius, below 0 equals freezing weather, above 0 equals not freezing weather, above 30 equals hot, above 40 equals very hot. See how that works? Round numbers based on water. It's going to be 73 degrees Fahrenheit today with a high of 81 degrees Fahrenheit. What does that mean? Is 73 warm, cold? Do I need a jacket? Who knows? You just have to memorize arbitrary temperature feelings. Celsius forecast, it's going to be 23 degrees Celsius today with a high of 27 degrees Celsius. 23 degrees Celsius equals room temperature, comfortable. 27 degrees Celsius equals warm. You can actually understand what the temperature means, but Americans prefer their brine-based system from 1724. Americans will measure anything to avoid using meters. Real American news headlines. Sinkhole the size of 6 football fields opens up. Asteroid the size of 3 school buses approaching Earth. Wildfire burns area equivalent to 50,000 football fields. Iceberg the size of Delaware breaks off Antarctica. Football fields, school buses, entire states, anything but meters. Here are actual measurements Americans use. Distance, football fields. 100 yards equals 91.44 meters. Just say 91 meters. City blocks, varies by city. About X car lengths. Size, size of a bread box. Size of Rhode Island for large areas. Size of a washing machine, bigger than a school bus. Weight, X number of elephants. Weight of Y pickup trucks. Volume, Olympic swimming pools, bathtubs. Real headline from 2019. Amazon rainforest fires destroy area the size of 500,000 football fields, or approximately 1 Belgium. 1 Belgium. They used a country as a measurement rather than just say 3 million hectares. And don't forget the internet's favorite, banana for scale. Americans post pictures of objects with a banana next to it for size reference. Not a ruler with centimeters, not anything standardized, a banana, which varies in size. But hey, at least it's not measured in barleycorns. Americans describe height in feet and inches. I'm 5'11". Europeans, I'm 180 centimeters. Americans literally can't imagine their own height in a logical measurement. Ask an American how tall they are in centimeters, and they short circuit. Like 6 feet is carry the one. Freedom units are easier. Here's a secret Americans don't know. The United States officially adopted the metric system in 1975. The Metric Conversion Act of 1975 made metric the preferred system for trade and commerce, but it was voluntary. Voluntary. Hey America, we're going metric, but only if you want to. No pressure. What happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because Americans don't like being told what to do, even when it's objectively better, even when it's based on science, even when the entire world does it. Voluntary metric system? Nah, I'm good. Here's the thing that kills me. The US military uses metric. Every bullet caliber? Metric. 9mm, 5.56mm, 7.62mm. Every NATO operation? Metric. Every battlefield map? Metric coordinates. Why? Because you can't have allied forces from 30 countries using different measurements in combat. Enemy is 500 yards away. Do you mean American yards or British yards? Just use meters. Every American scientist uses metric. Chemistry? Metric. Physics? Metric. Biology? Metric. Medicine? Metric, mostly. NASA? Metric, after the Mars disaster. Every prestigious scientific paper published by Americans? Metric, because you literally cannot do modern science with Imperial. Try publishing a physics paper with measurements in furlongs per fortnight and see how fast you get laughed out of the journal. So if the military uses metric and science uses metric, why doesn't America switch? Road signs. Changing every road sign in America would cost billions. Every highway marker, every speed limit sign, every distance sign. Billions of dollars. And Americans look at that cost and say, you know what? We'll just keep confusing ourselves and the rest of the world. Cheaper that way. Meanwhile, they spend $800 billion on military every year. But road signs? That's where we draw the line. American cars have this beautiful compromise. The speedometer shows both mph and km per hour. Miles per hour in big numbers in black, kilometers per hour in tiny numbers underneath. Because America knows the rest of the world uses kilometers per hour. They just refuse to make it official. We'll acknowledge metric exists, but we won't use it. It's like being in denial while also admitting the truth. Peak American energy. Americans defend Imperial with, "It's too hard to change now." Really, countries that successfully switched to metric, Canada 1970s, Australia 1970s, New Zealand 1970s, Ireland 1970s, South Africa 1970s, India still transitioning but mostly metric. They all did it successfully. Canada shares a border with America. They use kilometers per hour, we use mph. It works fine. Americans visit Canada, see 100 kilometers per hour speed limit signs, and figure it out. It's not rocket science. Actually, wait, rocket science does use metric. That example. Here's the real reason America won't switch. They're afraid Americans are too dumb to learn it. I'm not joking. Every argument against metric boils down to Americans won't understand it. People won't know how fast 100 kilometers per hour is. Then teach them. It's 62 miles per hour. You learned that in 1 second. People won't know how far a kilometer is. It's 0.62 miles. Again, 1 second. People won't know their weight in kilograms. Divide by 2.2. Or just start weighing yourself in kilograms. The fear is that Americans can't handle basic math, which, given our education system, might actually be valid. Older Americans, I've been using Imperial my whole life. I'm not changing now. Okay, Grandpa. You also used a rotary phone your whole life and somehow figured out smartphones. You adapted to computers, the internet, smartphones, electric cars, streaming services, but converting miles to kilometers? That's too much. Here's the real truth. Americans have tied imperial measurements to their identity. Using miles, feet, and Fahrenheit is American. Using kilometers, meters, and Celsius is foreign. Metric is European. We're American. We do things our way. Even when our way is objectively worse, even when our way costs money, even when our way crashes spaceships. Freakum units or death.
Let me add up what Imperial costs America. Mars climate orbiter crash, $125 million. Medical dosage errors due to confusion, $10 billion annually. Manufacturing inefficiencies, parts made in Imperial don't match metric global standards, billions of dollars. Scientific research conversion errors, countless. International trade complications, significant losses. Total conservative estimate, over $100 billion over the past 30 years. But changing road signs? Too expensive. American students learn both systems. They learn Imperial because that's what daily life uses. They learn metric because that's what science uses. So they waste educational time learning two systems when every other country learns one. Time that could be spent on literally anything else. Here's what the rest of the world thinks. Americans can't even agree on how to measure things. America went to the moon using metric BTW, but can't figure out kilometers. American exceptionalism means except for common sense. The world doesn't respect America's measurement choice. They mock it constantly. Every international forum, every scientific conference, every global collaboration, someone makes a joke about American measurements. And Americans just take it. Yeah, we know we're weird, but we're not changing. Let me summarize why America won't switch to metric. 1. It would cost money to change signs. 2. Americans are stubborn. 3. It's tied to national identity. 4. Fear that people won't adapt. 5. It's tradition. None of these are good reasons. They're excuses. Excuses that cost lives, money, and global respect. Here's what America should do. 1. Mandate metric on all new road signs. Dual measurements for 10 years. 2. Teach only metric in schools, like the rest of the world. 3. Require metric on all product labels. 4. Phase out Imperial over 20 years. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it inconvenient? Sure. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Because right now, America is the only developed nation on Earth that can't measure things the way everyone else does, crashes spacecraft because of it, makes students learn two systems, confuses tourists constantly, and gets mocked internationally. To my American viewers, I'm not trying to insult you, I'm trying to wake you up. The metric system isn't a foreign attack on American values. It's science. It's logic. It's the system your military uses. It's the system your scientists use. It's the system that works. And pretending Imperial is better because it's American is like claiming medieval medicine is better because it's traditional. The world moved on. Maybe America should too. Drop a comment. Americans, can you defend Imperial without saying tradition or we're used to it? Non-Americans, what's the weirdest American measurement you've encountered? Subscribe to The Social Glitch for more uncomfortable truths about systems that make no sense. Thanks for watching. Now go convert something to metric. I'll wait. Actually, no, I won't, because that would take you 20 minutes in a calculator, because Imperial is terrible.